Hey y'all, it's LSD O'Neil, and Ultimate Weapon has been changed twice in the last week, so let's go ahead and talk about that. Ultimate Weapon was a perk that used to be very meta. It was used a lot, but it actually slowed down by the time that they decided to finally touch it. I rarely saw it. I know that some people still saw it a somewhat decent amount, but I did not see it much on my Survivor games anymore. And I didn't really run it on my killer games, not because I thought it was like too OP and it's stupid to run, mostly because I just didn't give a crap. Like that just is what it is. I think that it had a good niche and it had an identity that was cool. I didn't really think it needed a major nerf or rework. My big thing was either adding some kind of cooldown changes or making it so that it didn't do blindness, or blindness wasn't as long as the activation. Like there's a lot of minor issues the perk had that was making it feel very unpleasant to go against. And I was just hoping they would touch it up and fix it a little bit. But Behavior decided to do something completely different and gutted the shit out of it. Not only did they double the cooldown, which sure, fine, they could have done that. That would have been fine while leaving it alone. But they doubled the cooldown and then they turned it into an aura reading perk. And the problem with it becoming an aura reader perk is the reason it was used and the reason it found its identity was to counter a perk that no one on the killer side, quote unquote, likes. And that was distortion. Granted, I don't mind distortion, but I know a lot of killers were getting very frustrated with it, which is fair. I mean, there's always frustrating things in the game, and getting frustrated with a perk that makes you hard to be found is kind of boring. Like, it's a boring perk to play against, and that just is what it is. Whatever. The thing is, Ultimate Weapon was used to counter that, and so those people who didn't want to be found, they just brought Calm Spirit. Cool. So, I mean, it made a bad perk meta for a bit, so that was kind of funny. But, I mean, overall, Calm Spirit slowly fell out as much as Ultimate Weapon fell out. Didn't do much. So them turning into an aura perk made it absolutely worthless. Some killers could get value out of it, sure, but it also just made it so the people that were ratting with distortion ratted just as hard. And so I think that was definitely a problem. I think perks should have counters, and when there isn't a direct counter to a perk, there needs to be something done. Now, I want to get into iteration version 3, which did not leave PTP just yet. They, I guess, couldn't push it out with the current patch, which, I mean, sure, whatever. I don't understand when they decided to change it in the time frame. I understand it takes like a week and a half to push patches out onto consoles, so I get it. But the last iteration that we're going to be getting, which apparently still blinds people, they didn't talk about the blindness at all, by the way, which kind of bugs me. We needed to know that information. That was very important to know if it stayed or left. We didn't know the whole time, which is absurd. Why? Why did we not know? But anyway, the final iteration is when you're within 32 meters of a locker, you will scream when it is opened, and you get the blindness status effect. Now, is that too bad now? Did it get gutted too hard? I'm on the fence. The thing is, I don't think that it is the best perk at all anymore. I think it's more of a niche perk. And I know we don't generally like niche perks these days. Niche perks usually don't get a lot of play, and it does feel bad. Though, I think it will have some nuance to it, and it will have some killers that will like it, and some who will not, instead of every killer liking it. I personally was super excited to try it out on stealth killers, just to see the funny thing of, oh hey, I know someone's on a gen, they don't know I'm even near them. I'm gonna make them scream, and then they're gonna panic. That's funny, especially if you're running something like DMS or something, right? So I think it has some potential with certain builds. It is not as usable as it once was. I think it could probably go without the major time nerf at this point, with it being limited to 32 meters. I will say it'll be strong on maps like the game and Midwich, but other than that, it will be a little bit bad. So I mean, if you're someone who brings people to Midwich every game, you're still getting value there, buddy. Proud of you. But otherwise, it's there. It exists. It was just so funny. They were like, the reason they changed it to an aura perk is because they were mad that it interrupted survivors' actions. And I get that. But that was such a minority case of it. The only people who were specifically going for stuff like that was Pig. And I can argue technically Zodico could get value out of it nichely, like whatever. Or like it would affect DMS and stuff like that. Like sure, whatever, that's fine. It's such a minor like thing, and it makes it have a little bit of usefulness outside of what it actually does, which is where the best perks usually lie, is that they have more than one use. Look at Distortion, it has more than one use. It's an intel perk and it's a hiding perk. It's pretty good. It's not great and it's not broken, but it gets used because it can be used multiple ways. And that's the thing that needs to happen at the end of the day. We need perks to be able to be used more than one way for them to actually be valuable to us. And that's the big thing. It's either they can be used aggressive or defensively, and those are usually the best perks we have in the game. Ultimate Weapon, it will probably fall to the wayside. It probably won't be used much, and probably won't be talked about again. But that's it. If you guys liked, please hit the like button. And if you consider subscribing, I'd appreciate it. And I will catch you guys later. Bye.